Book Club Schmook Club is brought to you by Talk Bomb. It's a book review show where I, Kristen Rogers Anderson, and my brother, Will Rogers, talk about a different book every other week. For more information, like our full archive of shows and our calendar of upcoming books, go to talkbomb.com/schmook. SHMOOK. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram under the usernames @ChillinKristen and @HauntedSponge. Book Club Schmook Club is available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Book Club Schmook Club. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
And we're here with a Blair Witch sandwich.
Yeah, I guess we are.
Yep, we're here to talk about the two dossiers. Dossiers, The Blair Witch Project, a dossier, and then Blair Witch Book of Shadows, which is also a dossier, but I guess it's not called that.
It's just called Blair Witch Book of Shadows.
Yep.
Which is funny because the movie is called Book of Shadows.
Yeah.
Blair Witch 2.
Right, it's weird.
I don't know.
Both written by Daniel Stern.
Well, D.A. Stern.
I think that's probably a pen name for Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
Of
the Sticky
Curly's
Bandits.
Gold
Yeah.
and Sticky Bandits.
Well, the first one you go to for Daniel Stern is Curly's Gold, City Slickers.
Yep.
Curly's Gold, City Slickers 2. Every movie does that format where they have the subtitle first.
Yeah.
D.A. Stern, who wrote several Blair Witch books.
Yeah.
There are multiple.
I think that I'm going to learn a lot tonight, William.
You think
I know
so?
you know more about the greater Blair Witchiverse than I do. You know more about the video games, the comic books, all that kind of stuff. I haven't read those.
Well, then, let's get into this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, there are going to be spoilers for Blair Witch all over this show. We'll try to keep most of them. You know what? Is there any sense in even having a spoiler-free side?
I mean,
maybe just for the sake of argument, can we just?
I suppose.
All right, let's follow our own format.
You know.
Yeah, the thing is, the only reason that I'm like waffling is because the Blair Witch lore is so all over the map and tons of different there are only 3 movies.
Right.
They made Blair Witch Project in 1999. In the year 2000, they made Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, and then in 2016, they made Blair Witch.
Right.
There are only 3 movies, and there's not a ton of information in the movies that's ever definitively stated. These movies are all centered around this concept of an urban legend of a witch. So different people have different interpretations of what the witch does. And we see what happens to the characters in the movies, but we're never certain if it is actually the witch doing it, if these characters are doing it to themselves. But while there are only 3 movies, there are tons of, maybe not tons, but there's a lot more video games, comic books, and books that flesh out the spoiler in somewhat more conclusive ways.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to talk about all that stuff without spoiling.
I think you just did the spoiler-free summary, kind of.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's basically what I was going to say. It's like, that's the best way that we can possibly say.
Pretty much it, yeah.
All right, I'll go a teeny bit further.
Okay.
1999, 3 filmmakers go into the woods to try to talk about the Blair Witch together and figure out what the mystery is and make a little documentary. The Blair Witch Project, the movie, documents the 7 days they spent in the woods being lost, walking in circles, and, something goes obviously wrong. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
1 year later, they made Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. After the insane success of Blair Witch Project, nobody really knew what to do. Do you do another found footage style movie?
Yeah.
And they decided to instead just entirely.
The answer is yes to that, by the way.
Oh, the answer is yes to that, for sure.
You should.
I guess they decided to just go with crapping the bed immediately.
Yeah.
They made a movie wherein Blair Witch Project is a movie. So the characters of Blair Witch 2 are obsessed with the movie The Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
And they make fun of Heather Donahue, the main actress, for being a bad actress. There is no illusion that these events were anything but fictional.
Right.
And yet in that movie, the characters kind of drive themselves mad, and there's a lot of oh, is it the witch or is it us? And it's a horror movie, so bad stuff happens again.
Yeah. Wait, do they think that the Blair Witch Project is totally fictional in Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2?
Within the world of Blair Witch 2,
Book of Shadows.
Yeah, sorry, I keep screwing that up.
Book of Shadows.
I know. I keep screwing it up because no one ever calls things like that. It'd be like calling it like Empire Strikes Back Star Wars 2.
Yes,
like it doesn't make sense. But yeah, within the world of Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, Blair Witch Project is a movie.
I thought, well, but then why is that dude so obsessed with, no, how is that possible?
Because they like the movie.
No, but the Wiccan girl is obsessed with Ellie Kedward.
Yes. In the world of Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, Blair Witch Project is a movie based on a real legend of a real Blair Witch.
What? I did not understand that.
Put it this way. If somebody made a movie about the Jersey Devil
I thought they were just being real jerks making fun of Heather and stuff.
No. Like she's not a character that's...
oh, I'm so scared of the witch.
She's not a character that's like missing in Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. She's an actress.
What?
Somewhere out there is the actress.
You just blew my mind.
I can't believe you didn't like pick up on this. Yeah, that's like the thing. Somewhere out there had the Heather Donahue.
I don't think that Blair Witch Book of Shadows, the book, honors or belies that narrative.
Blair Witch Book of Shadows, the Dossier, tries to fix it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, 2016,
There's no fixing it.
They made Blair Witch. Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett, two like pretty renowned sort of independent horror filmmakers, got to make the movie. They did a found footage sequel where Heather's brother, Heather is the main actress of the first movie, Heather's brother is now going back into the woods, trying to get closure. Where did she go? Is she still there? Can he find her? And obviously things go wrong.
Right. So they don't live in the universe then of Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 at all.
Correct. Yes. Everybody wants to forget Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2.
Huh. I don't think I even thought about it before, but I guess I assumed that they were all in the same universe.
No. Huh. No. Blair Witch Project and Blair Witch 2016 are the same universe. Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. Everyone just wants to pretend it was never made. That's
not me.
I enjoy watching the movie.
I love watching.
It's so bad.
It's terrible.
So I'll ask you.
Who's your favorite? I like Kim Diamond. She's the goth. No way. I do also like the Wiccan. I don't know.
I kind of like the main guy.
I kind of like him.
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah.
They tried to, in reshoots, make him more of a conventional villain, which still doesn't make sense.
No.
Whatever. Yeah. So, Kristen, what's your history with the Blair Witch? The entire franchise.
Yes. I saw the Blair Witch Project in theaters. And I was really into it, I remember. And then I remember on the way home in the car, we were like, because we drove by like weird, I don't even know what they are. I'm not sure. Weird, but it was true. It was weird. Like huge giant stick figures. Like they weren't promotional or anything. It just happened to be that there were these like, was it released around Halloween? I really don't remember. Like,
I don't know.
But there were these humongous, like the size of like telephone poles.
Yeah.
Like weird structures that somewhat looked like a man shape kind of thing, like the sticks.
Yeah.
And I remember my friends Jessica and Shannon and I were all like, like on the way home because I was probably like, I don't know, like 14 or something.
Well, like 16.
Maybe.
1999, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess it was right before we moved here. So yeah, I guess I was like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, that. And then I rented Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 from the library.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I enjoyed it or not, ironically or unironically, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you and I really liked these movies and we watched them a bunch and yeah, I'm a bit of a Blair Witch head.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you?
I think I must have seen it when it first came out, Blair Witch Project. I don't remember. I honestly, the first time that I remember actually paying attention to this movie was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And once I saw it and like clicked with me, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love the idea that these people are trying to figure out this mystery, this sort of like urban legend monster.
Yeah.
That nobody can agree on what she does.
Yeah.
Or what her like powers are or why she might want to come after you or if she exists at all. And so subject to all these different interpretations, you can make up your own story about what's happening to them. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 is so horrifically bad.
I know.
It's so enjoyable.
Yeah. It's such a pleasure.
It really is. It's incredible. So we're going to talk about these two books now.
Oh, and we saw the third one in theaters, like the opening weekend or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I loved it. I loved seeing it like in a theater. It was super fun.
Yep.
Everybody freaked out saying how horrible the movie was.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I remember I didn't get it though. I remember when the lights came on, I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up writing like a few articles about it, and I even got one of the writer, Simon Barrett, read at least one of my things about it and said like, this is a pretty fair interpretation of.
That's right.
Yeah, and so that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
And
I forgot to tell you.
What's up?
Speaking of people responding to things on Twitter, Rob Lowe favorited one of my tweets.
Whoa, no way.
Because he did a thing where you like retweet somebody and respond to it within your own tweet. And somebody said like, when are we getting more seasons? And he was like, it was only ever planned as one really fun season.
Oh.
Like it's hard to get the Lowe boys all together, but who knows? And I was like, I don't remember what I said. I was like, Rob, we need you. Low boys, I know you can do it or something. And he favorited it.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
Now you have to change your account to be like officially noticed by Rob Lowe.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I also want to say, I thought this was kind of cool. So the two guys that directed the original movie, Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Their names are Eduardo Sanchez and Dan Myrick. Dan Myrick is now working on a new movie called Skyman.
Okay.
Which I believe is a found footage alien movie he wants to make.
Cool.
And so he had an Indiegogo campaign that I backed. And one of the levels that you could select was to get the original shooting script for the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yeah.
So I have right now sitting on my table here, actually our prop table for Guide to the Unknown, our new podcast. I have the shooting script for Blair Witch Project signed by Dan Myrick and a little thank you card.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not a shooting script.
Well, what does that mean exactly?
It would be like, we're going to shoot this on this day. Here's what we're going to try to capture on film.
Yeah.
It's not that.
So what is it?
It's a transcription of the movie.
Oh, okay.
So it's in script format, all the improvised lines from the actors.
Yeah.
Because, Blair Witch Project, the first movie, is really more of like a stunt movie than a film.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Like, it doesn't really have a shooting script exactly.
Exactly.
I would think. Yeah.
They would set up...
Did that occur to you before he sent it to you at all?
No, well, they said in the thing it was going to be a shooting script. So I thought there was going to be stuff in there that barely anybody would ever see of being like... We're going to film because there are certain things about the movie. The way they shot it, they had the actors camp out and every morning they would wake up with a little like package of food and some notes of what they were supposed to do that day. But it was nothing more specific than being like, all right, Heather, you're mad at Mike.
It's so
and
nuts.
that's it. And like that's what they had to do all day. They just had to live in the like improvisation of that movie. There's not a script. So when I saw shooting script, I thought I might get to read the actual directors and writers' description of what they wanted to film. At a certain point in the movie, they're running through the woods and Heather's going like, "What's that? What is that?"
Yeah.
They had somebody there.
Yeah.
You can't see them. They're off the side of the frame.
Yeah.
There's a person wrapped in white gauze running through the woods alongside them in the middle of the night. And
I would die.
I know. The camera was supposed to pan over and get them, but the actors were the cameramen. And they were running through the woods.
Yeah.
And he just didn't turn the camera enough. But so I figured I might see a description of that in the script and be able to glean certain details. What were they going for? What were their intentions?
Right.
If it's a transcription of the movie.
Yeah. That's, whatever.
So it's cool. I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, totally.
But, a shooting script would have been far more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so these books.
Yes.
We're going to go one by one.
Books.
The only way that I can possibly do a spoiler-free version of them. Blair Witch Project, a dossier. It's essentially positing a theory that Daniel Stern, D.A. Stern, was put in charge of going through all these notes put together by a private inspector.
Yeah.
Who was hired to find out what happened to the kids in the Blair Witch Project. Right. So he interviewed people that they interviewed. He interviewed their friends, family, people from the school they went to, trying to figure out what happened to them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of compiled notes, theories like that. The other book, the Blair Witch 2 dossier.
Yeah.
Is kind of the same, but there's not really that sort of like top level, here's what's going on.
Something that's knitting the entire thing together, really.
Yeah. It's more just sort of like being like, here's some background information about the characters in this movie.
Yeah, and like here's some stuff that they owned.
Yeah.
Or that they had written and whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like here are some excerpts from books that are called like books of shadow
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like a book of shadows is apparently a thing.
Yeah.
In like witchcraft and stuff. There's no book of shadows to be found in the movie.
No, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's just an arbitrary subtitle to sound scary.
I love that so much. There's no Book of Shadows even mentioned in the movie.
No.
So good.
Yeah, the second movie has a troubled production.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best I can do for a spoiler free.
Yeah.
So
I think that's good.
in some sense, these are found footage books.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're sort of compiling existing materials into a story of some kind, which I think is actually a pretty clever way to go about fleshing out the world of the Blair Witch.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like we have, very famously the Blair Witch Project starts with them saying like, 3 kids went in the woods to try to film a thing.
Yeah.
A year later, their footage was found.
Do you remember the website at the time and everything? Because I remember being really stoked about that. That's something that I had forgotten about until I actually think that they mentioned it in the Blair Witch 2 dossier, that there was a website set up as though these people were missing.
Yeah.
And like people really didn't, I think I knew, I don't think that I ever had any confusion. I mean, maybe like right at first, but like I knew it was a movie, but it was just like, the conceit was that it was a real found film thing.
Yeah.
But there was a Blair Witch website that was set up like missing pages and like information like it was a real thing that happened. It was so cool.
Yeah, they hung up flyers that said missing with the 3 actors' names on them. And yeah, the whole idea, really, there are a lot of people that say that Blair Witch Project is not a great movie, that it's not a landmark movie, but more that it is a landmark case of film marketing, like innovative film marketing to just say like, this is completely real and legitimate.
Yeah.
These kids went missing. They may be dead for all we know. And so people would go to the theater not knowing if they were showing up to essentially like a snuff film.
Right.
Or not.
Right.
The thing is, this is not like a new conceit at all. What's new about it is the internet and the sort of like dedication to really making that facade believable.
Yeah, you can flesh it out in so many more ways for more people to see.
Yeah. But like in the 70s, I think late 70s, 78, something like that, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was marketed as a true story.
Yeah.
This really happened somewhere in Texas. So it's nothing new to say that a horror
War
film...
of the Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it was more the internet, the sort of like, how
it could go viral.
Yeah. It was like one of the first like crazy viral things.
Imagine if they had Vine.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
If only.
Wow.
Born in the wrong time.
These 2 books are not the only Blair Witch books. D.A. Stern also wrote.
D. Stern was really
He's still going.
booty deep in Blair Witch lore.
Well, I mean, if you could do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
He wrote a book about Rustin Parr, an in-universe serial killer who killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Claimed that the Blair Witch told him to do it. He wrote a book called The Confessions of Rustin Parr. There are several comic books. He didn't write them.
Yeah.
But there are several Blair Witch comic books that are sort of stories from the universe. There are some like anthology kind of stories that are like... They're not great. They're kind of interesting. And then there's an entire series of kids' books called The Blair Witch Files.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
Yep. I have one of them somewhere.
Like what age group when you say kids?
Like young adult.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's very clearly supposed to be like... I think the one I have is called like The Hangman's Daughter.
Yeah.
I haven't even cracked the cover. I don't think it's really like about the Blair Witch. I think it's...
Yeah.
And then there is a book that was only published as an ebook, which I have and which I read and was very hard to read.
What?
I remember nothing about it.
Okay.
There was like a detective hunting a serial killer and the serial killer was hiding stickmen in graves or something. It's like, this doesn't really feel like it's tied to the Blair Witch. It felt like somebody wrote a story.
Yeah.
And then figured they
could put a stick man in it.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
so I think that's going to do it for spoiler-free side.
Yeah.
If you're interested in the Blair Witch Project, if you're interested in dossiers, which I happen to think are very fun to read.
I do too.
I like building up this like fake real world and digging through the history of it. Definitely go check out Blair Witch, a dossier.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. We haven't recommended
Yeah.
one way or another. Do you recommend this book, Blair Witch?
I definitely
1?
recommend Blair Witch 1 if this is all your thing.
Yeah.
It's a really cool edition. Blair Witch 2 I don't really recommend.
No way.
Yeah. It's
no
like...
way.
It's not as fun.
It's not needed.
It's not needed because that book is such dog shit. I mean, the movie's such dog shit.
Yeah.
Delicious. Well, not delicious dog shit.
Delicious dog shit. That's such a better way to say like a good bad movie. It's delicious dog shit.
It kind of is.
That's like
the movie is such delicious dog shit, but who needs an addition
I know.
to that?
Did you feel like this helped you understand the world a little more, the Blair Witch 1 dossier?
I'm trying to think.
Did it flesh anything out that made you go like, oh, interesting?
I'm trying to remember. Well, yeah, I'm sure there were things like that I was like, oh, interesting. But I don't think I had felt like there were gaps. I don't think I felt like watching the movie there were gaps that I really needed filled in all that much.
Okay, yeah. So not
truth.
required reading.
No. But like, it was fun. If you're somebody who really likes the movie, then it gives you some fun extras.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, then yeah, let's jump over to the spoiler
what did you
pack
think about
side.
them?
I think that for me, this first book does flesh out things that I think are they change the way that I look at the movie now. There are things that are said in the Blair Witch 1 dossier that I think are so cool.
Yeah.
That when I rewatch Blair Witch Project, the film, I go like, oh, like while you're watching them on camera here, I know something that's actually happening.
I guess since I know that they weren't, like it wasn't written with the movie for that purpose, I keep them separate in my mind, kind of.
Yeah, I guess.
I understand that this connects to the movie and there aren't any, what do you call it? There aren't any mess ups, inconsistencies. There aren't inconsistencies or anything like that. But for some reason, just because I know it was written afterward as kind of like an afterthought thing, it's not like that it was written together with the movie and you're meant to devour both of these. They're still like separate in my mind in a way. I don't.
Yeah, I get that. I think that for me, what I really enjoy about the Blair Witch is the fact that the Blair Witch herself may not exist. That she is an element of folklore. And what I like about the Blair Witch as a franchise is kind of the same thing. There is no definitive answer for anything. So at any time, somebody could come along and write a theory about what was really going on.
Right.
Some of these books feel like there are theories posited in this book.
Yeah.
Nothing is really ever stated that's like concretely, here is a solution. But because there are so many... Because the Blair Witch franchise is just Swiss cheese, like you're only seeing a fraction of what's going on. You're aware you're only seeing a fraction of what's going on. Even if you don't think there are real answers out there, somebody can come along and write something that attempts to flesh things out. And so I don't think that this is required. I don't think that this necessarily puts a bow on anything, but I think that even though it was written separately, I think it's woven together with the original movie so well.
Yeah. Oh, it totally
that
is.
it feels like a no-brainer that they are telling the same story.
Yeah. Oh, complete. It feels totally natural.
Yeah.
So wait. So even though there's a lot that's open to interpretation stuff, I feel like it's pretty definitive that the Blair Witch is a thing in that universe.
I think there's probably a Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the spoiler side.
Yeah.
Because let's keep talking about this, because this is the thing that like I really enjoy, and people out there are just flat out wrong about. People freaked out about the new movie because they said that the movie did something that shouldn't have been done.
Showed the Blair Witch.
Yeah, and I think they were wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think they showed the Blair Witch.
What?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Let's jump to
I'm sure that I know this already from when this came out, because I know you and I talked about it a ton. I read your articles and everything, but then we're in spoiler land, right?
Let's go now.
Okay, we're in spoiler
Everybody
land,
leave.
bitches.
Yeah, it's time. It is time. We must.
Yeah. It's impossible to talk about.
We must
So
leave.
wait, what do you think that long-ass armed, crazy ass in the woods was?
Short answer is I don't know. Long answer is I definitely don't think it's the Blair Witch herself.
What do you think it is?
Well, okay, so two things.
Okay.
I think that you and I have disagreed on this basic point many times about things that we've read before.
Okay.
Movies and books only matter in as much as how you interpret them. So like if I think that a movie is making a left-hand turn, you think the movie is making a right-hand turn. We're both right. And even if the original writer comes out and says, no, he's making a right-hand turn, my left-hand turn theory is still true.
That's not right, but go ahead.
Because it's up to the viewer what the movie is. So Simon Barrett, the writer of Blair Witch, is very active on Twitter.
Yes, I follow him.
And so he's been like very nice to me when I ask him sort of asinine questions. And at one point somebody said, because people were constantly saying like, why did you show the witch?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have made this movie found footage. The original movie was never about showing a witch or anything. You never knew if it was real or not. And in this movie, it's so paranormal, and you show the witch. What were you doing? And my thing was always like, well, how many movies can you make of this franchise where you never know if what you're watching is real or not?
Yeah.
At some point, you have to plant your flag and say what it is. Is it all fake and we're getting ourselves worked up and killing each other because of paranoia and frustration? Or is there a witch out there that's controlling this?
Yeah.
It's time to make a decision. It's been 17 years since the original movie. This is the third in the franchise. Let's go. Let's say something for real.
Quick aside, though. Like, it seems pretty clear to me in the first one that a witch is doing stuff.
But there are many people out there that interpret the movie as you never really see anything.
Well, you definitely never really see anything, but like it seems pretty clear to me because of the little, what do you call those? How do you say this? Cairns? When you pile up rocks?
Yeah.
Little rock piles or whatever.
Cairns?
Yeah, something like that. You know, it's not like they would have just snapped and killed each other. Like, why would they be like psychotically hanging tree men or what do you call them? Branchmen? Stickmen.
Yeah. The branch boys.
You know, it seems premeditated and weird. It's not
completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's even ignoring the fact that in the movie, they wake up in the middle of the night and there are kids laughing and pushing their hands against the tent.
That is so scary.
It's very scary. One of the main characters gets his bag covered in some sort of ectoplasm goo.
Yeah.
A bundle of sticks shows up with a bunch of teeth ripped out in it.
Yeah, like that's not them getting mad at each other.
No. If you really wanted to, I guess you could do a bunch of mental backflips
I'm sure you could, yeah.
Maybe Josh lost his mind in the woods, pulled out his own teeth, and now he's harassing them.
Right.
But I think that was always this sort of Hail Mary grasp for a lot of people to sometimes people like to praise media for things it's not even trying to do. So I think that a lot of people have like a stick up their butt about being like, no, Blair Witch is a work of art because you can interpret it any number of ways and maybe it's not even paranormal.
Well, I guess that goes back to your point about, though, you know, you and I could think something's left or right and it doesn't really matter. They're both right.
Kind of, except for me, there is sort of like definitive evidence within the Blair Witch Project that it is paranormal.
But then I 100% agree with you. But then how does that fit into your point from before? Because
as long as we're both basing our theories from the same sort of like logical standpoint, but then coming to different conclusions, like I'm not ignoring certain evidence to come up with a different theory from you or bending the things that happen in the movie to suit my theory.
But I guess anybody could think that they're not. You know what I mean? Like your idea of logical and my idea of logical could be different.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. We're now having a debate about like if somebody was making the argument in front of us right now that the Blair Witch has no paranormal activity in it. The only recourse I have at this point is to be like, what would they say if I pointed out those kids pushing it on the tent? And I don't know what they'd say.
Yeah.
So like I would just want to point out the evidence that shows that it has to be paranormal.
Yeah.
Or I think some people out there also say that there was somebody else in the woods doing this stuff.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
But like I don't buy that.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
So online, people have been throwing all these like questions at Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard, the director. And eventually Simon Barrett responded with something just flat out saying, with clean punctuation, the Blair Witch is not in our movie. He said that.
Right.
And that lined up perfectly with everything that I had been thinking. The Blair Witch, if there is a Blair Witch, which, you know, in the same way that like people talk about God, where they're like, I don't know if there's really a guy, but I think there's something, maybe like a power or an energy. That's what I think the Blair Witch is. So I think the Blair Witch can lure you into the woods.
Yeah.
I think that she mostly tricks people into turning on each other. So I think that if you and I went into the Black Hills woods of Maryland,
right,
in the town of Burkitsville, formerly Blair,
yeah,
I think that we might spend the night in the woods, become cursed.
Not doing that.
But the Blair Witch herself would not be hunting us. She would turn us on each other, or a previous victim who is still trapped in the woods would come get us.
Okay.
And that is what I think happens in the recent Blair Witch movie. At the end of the movie, they're running through that giant farmhouse, the same house that the original Blair Witch Project movie ends in, and a giant long-limbed monster is chasing after them and screaming. People naturally looked at that and said, Blair Witch. That's the Blair Witch. We're seeing the Blair Witch. I don't want this. I don't want to see the Blair Witch. I don't think that is the Blair Witch. I believe...
Wendigo?
It's kind of a Wendigo. Yes,
Yeah.
it's kind of a Wendigo. In one of my articles, I posit that she may be a Wendigo. To hear more about Wendigos.
Did you say that in the article?
I did.
Oh.
To hear more about Wendigos, look forward to our new podcast, Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah.
We've got 4 episodes recorded as of this recording.
Yep.
And 2.5 of them are completely edited. We will be dropping them all at once next month.
Yes.
But so, yeah, online, Simon Barrett said that is a previous victim.
Oh, he did?
He did. Oh. And that is also what I believe.
Okay.
So Blair Witch, the new movie, is about Heather from the original movie.
Yeah.
Her brother, James, running around the woods trying to find her.
Right.
At the end of the movie, he walks into a room, and the door shuts behind him, and he's screaming. And then essentially a ghost appears in front of him for half a second and blinks out of existence.
Yeah.
I believe that is him finding Heather. So I think that Heather is dead and a ghost, or is somehow like blinking into his reality from another timeline or another reality, whatever.
Right. That's definitely what it seems like.
Yeah. And the thing chasing them, I can only imagine is maybe it's so some of the lore of Blair Witch, which is explained in both of these books that we're talking about here.
Yep.
The earliest thing that people seem to agree of the Blair Witch is that there was this woman named Ellie Kedward who essentially she was caught trying to take blood from children.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Take blood.
People called her a witch, ran her into the Black Hills woods, and left her there to die in the cold of winter.
Yeah.
In the new movie, they say that she was hung up on a makeshift rack and her limbs were stretched. The monster we see at the end of the movie has stretched limbs.
Right.
2 ways of looking at this. Ellie Kedward, most people say, is the Blair Witch.
Right.
I say the Blair Witch has always been there. Ellie Kedward is just the first definitively recorded victim.
Yeah.
I think that there have always been victims. She's the first one that people seem to agree is the Blair Witch.
Okay.
I think that thing running around the house, maybe it's Ellie Kedward, but I don't think she's the witch.
Okay.
Or, and this I think would make the movie feel too small and connected, maybe it's Josh or Mike from the original movie. But I also don't really like that theory because if we already have Heather running around in that house, and the house is Rustin Parr's house, a serial killer from the 40s.
Yeah.
I don't like how everything is so tightly interconnected. Like in Star Wars, in the prequels, like characters just run into each other from the other movies, and it's like, how small is this place? Like, can we not run into new people? You know?
That's funny.
So,
when does the new Star Wars movie come out?
December.
Cool. Okay.
So, that's what I think that thing is. It's definitely not the witch, as per the writer's statement, which you don't have to believe, is my thing.
I believe it.
I do believe it. I believed it before he said it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
That's what I think.
Cool.
All right, so that brings me to a fucking rad thing that's in this.
Here, go for it. I was just going to flip around.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I feel like I'm just like steamrolling you.
No. You know more about this than I do, but I have things to chime in, so I'm very happy for you to talk about whatever, and you're not steamrolling.
Well, really, the one thing that I wanted to say right this second, there are a few things in this dossier that I think are concretely stated. They bring up things that may have contributed to the footage we saw in Blair Witch Project. Like they test the soil in the Black Hills woods, and it comes up as being like dense with opium.
Yes.
And so they read Heather's journal later on. They're
crazy.
like, she may have been hallucinating. She talks in it about how her heart's like racing all the time. She feels like she's hallucinating.
Yeah.
Could they have been like essentially
like dosed?
Yeah. But that's a theory. We don't know. The one thing that they say in this, the end of the Blair Witch Project, Heather and Mike are running around this old abandoned farmhouse in the middle of the woods. And in this book, towards the end, they do a review of the footage and of the terrain that they're traveling before they get to the house. And at a certain point, somebody says, like, you can see in the footage, they're climbing a steep incline upward.
Right.
I do not know where that landmark exists in the Black Hills woods. And in the footage where they're running around the house, that is Rustin Parr's house, the serial killer from the 40s.
Right.
But his house burned down decades ago.
Yeah. That was very awesome.
How exciting was that?
Very, very exciting. Because seriously, the whole idea of, like, I guess I knew the woods were somewhat impossible. Yeah. Like the house in The Shining. Something was up. Like, based on just the movie, The Blair Witch Project, the first one. And then.
Yeah, they walk in circles all day.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then the idea of like I guess like multiple timelines all being smushed together basically.
Yeah.
Got introduced, at least to me, in the third movie. So it was really, really fun to read in the book companion to the Blair Witch Project, which came out like way before the third movie, obviously, that was a thing all along.
Yeah, one of the things that I really appreciate about the third movie
was really
from
cool
last year is that they care about this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's
for
clear.
sure.
Like, I think that people looked at them making the new movie and thought like, oh, they're cashing in, they're doing hack work. They're doing one of those soft reboots of a franchise just because it's a franchise. They studied.
Yeah, for sure.
They very obviously did their Blair Witch homework and read this book and incorporated some of the things here into their story. And I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I love maintaining the integrity of this world.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job with that.
Me too.
As much as this first dossier, for me, is a really solid companion piece to the original movie, I feel like it makes the third movie, the new movie, like way more exciting.
Oh, completely.
It's crazy to read this and then watch that new movie and be like, oh my gosh, like when they're running around Rustin Parr's house at the end, it's the same house from the first movie, which means that it burned down decades ago, which means that they're trapped too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like they spend 3 days in the woods.
Right.
And the third day is endless night.
Yeah.
In the new movie.
Oh, and then in the movie when they are in the house and there's daylight for like 5 seconds because she just like speeds up time basically to get to night.
Well, that's a good example of an interpretation. There are a lot of people out there that say that it is like there's like intense light shines through the boards of the house, and what you just said, that it's time speeding up. An entire day just went by. There are people that say that something is going out in the woods, like they are now time traveling or something, and so that's what it looks like when you time travel, like you're being transported to another place, another dimension.
Yeah.
There are people that say that is an alien. That there is a spaceship in the woods that is essentially taking off or landing or putting on its lights or whatever. Tons of interpretations on that.
Yeah, I think I've read those. Yeah.
It's designed so that you can think whatever you want. I prefer yours.
What do you think?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of alien imagery in the new movie.
Really? Like what?
There's a lot of like they use a walkie-talkie and it crackles a bunch, which made me think of the movie Signs from M. Night Shyamalan.
I don't think I've ever seen Signs.
Oh, we should watch Signs.
Actually, yeah, I have.
That's an exciting movie.
I remember now. I like Signs. I've seen
exciting is the wrong word. It's mostly sitting around moping. It's a solid movie.
Because as I'm saying that, I think I remember myself going, I've never seen Signs, and then watching, but like I've seen this before. Yeah. But I remember liking it.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I don't know if I can enjoy things with Mel Gibson anymore.
Yeah, maybe not.
I actually really don't think so. Like I am, well, probably decreasingly so, if that's a thing. Like I have been in the past, been able to separate the artist from the art kind of thing. I don't think I can really anymore.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to with him for a long time.
I don't know that I never really cared about him in particular anyway.
I really liked him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I was like a humongous like Mel Gibson stan or anything, but I really liked him.
It's ironic that he was in the movie What Women Want. And he really didn't know.
No, he did not.
I think at the end of that movie, he learns a lesson, but he didn't learn that in real life. Like he probably went from being like, I've learned my lesson. I know how to be kind to people, and women are people too.
Yeah.
Cut. Good job, Mel. All right, sugar tits, get me a coffee.
Yeah.
You know, like that's conceivable.
Completely.
Yeah.
And whatever, it's a whole other conversation. It's so surprising to me that like he has so many people who are his friends who are like who have been vocal supporters of him, like Jodie Foster and stuff. Yeah. But you can be one way with your friends and then another way privately or with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Your friends can be the exception to your rule or whatever. Anyway, I was going to say one more thing about him. Oh, that it was so dumb. I'm the dumbest. Either sense of humor or like sometimes we're like, oh, I'll see that. So there was the preview for that movie with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell where they're like each stepdads or something.
Daddy's Home.
Is that what it's called?
It's called Daddy's Home.
Okay, so I've never seen the first one. And then there was the trailer for the second one. And I was like, this seems kind of fun because they like love each other now. And so it's just the beginning of like Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell being like best friends. And even though they're from different worlds. And I was like, this looks pretty good. And then, like,
God.
Will Ferrell's dad was going to come to Christmas or something. And it was Mel Gibson coming down the escalator, like, looking like a tough guy. And I was like, cut.
Yeah.
Not going to watch that.
I think that is the other one, Marky Mark's dad.
Oh, okay.
Will Ferrell's dad is John Lithgow, and they kiss each other on the lips.
You're right.
Which actually made me laugh.
Yeah, so, you're right.
Maybe I'm just as bad. I don't know.
Or just as good.
Maybe. Yeah. Who's to say for sure?
If it's enjoyable, it's good.
So what are the things that you thought were interesting in the first Blair Witch dossier?
Just a lot of the like world fleshing out kind of stuff, and also seeing the aftermath of them being missing, like everything that was going on with the police and everything, trying to piece stuff together.
Yeah.
I found it really exciting when they realized, we already kind of touched on it, but when they realized that what they were seeing the interior of was Rustin Parr's house, and its correspondence between different cops and investigators and stuff, who were like, but that can't be, but it is.
And they like don't really want to talk about it.
Right.
They're just like, let's go off the record.
Yeah. Cause
stuff like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of going off the record, which is fun. It's not annoying to me. Like it'll be like, somebody will be like, so what do you think about the rumors around the Blair Witch thing? And a cop who doesn't want to come off as crazy is like, can we talk off the record?
Yeah.
And then you don't know what he said, but you can just, you just figure that it's that he's saying like, yeah, there are things that happen in the woods. And some of that does happen too, where they'll be like, look, I've lived in this area for a long time. Crazy things happen in those woods or whatever. And I'm like, ooh, the people who are like the authority figures believe this thing. This is awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that in obviously a zillion ways, this made me think of the Twin Peaks dossier that we read a few months back.
Yeah.
But in that book, we had Agent Tamara Preston, who's going through this dossier being like, I don't believe in any of this paranormal stuff. And in this, we have our lead investigator, Buck Buchanan, who like
good name.
Solid name.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he's interviewing somebody that he's friends with, and the friend starts being like, well, but the thing is with the Blair Witch, and Buck interrupts him and goes, come on, don't give me that Blair Witch shit, okay?
Yeah.
Like, let's try to keep this legit. I was like, oh, like that's kind of fun, actually. The fact that he is like a non-believer, and he has to try to figure out what happened to Heather Donahue and Mike and Josh.
Yeah. And then, like, it was both, I was kind of like, this seems weird, but I also kind of liked it that they do their own investigation in the woods and shit goes awry.
Yeah, I felt like that was like kind
of cheap, sort of.
It was very cheap.
Like, but I still kind of liked it. I was like, this is kind of fun, but also like,
so
is
not
this necessary?
I don't know. That smacked to me.
It was too much
of being like, how do you end this thing without something happening of some sort?
You could. I think I'd be fine with it just remaining a dossier that's just like, well, I guess we'll never fully know. And I'm like, well, that was fun files to look through.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like there needed to be something. At least it would have to be like one of the big things of this book, like one of the running through lines. Buck Buchanan was hired by Heather Donahue's mom. And at a certain point, they're talking to each other a lot about being like, listen, the Blair Witch movie that was released was edited down from like 40 hours of footage. Yeah. I want to get that other footage. There's something going on in it. And the sheriff of Burkitsville refuses to release that footage. Yeah. You could end this book by being like, he finally released the footage. And, I've reviewed the tapes. I cannot say anything more. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, there could be something like that where you like there's some indication of like I've looked at the footage. I've looked at the remaining 38 hours of footage and I don't want to talk about it. Right. I don't want to talk about this. The end. And that would give you like, oh, there's something on those other tapes. The end. But for it to be that like Buck Buchanan gets together with some of the other detectives that he's hired and a psychic that they hire. Who has
excellent stationery.
Oh, yeah.
By the way.
It's like covered in like...
Yeah, it's like suns and moons or something like that.
Kooky.
It's awesome.
And they go into the woods.
It reminds me of the Spiritual Times, the Gazette that I wrote when I was in elementary school.
Oh my gosh, where's that?
It's at Mom's somewhere.
The Spiritual Times.
The Spiritual Times is all over the place. It's one paper that me and my friend Christy Hauser wrote, and it has like... it's like that dot grid stuff on the computer. Yeah. It's a Spiritual Gazette. Did I say that or did I say Spiritual Times? It's Spiritual Gazette across the top. Yeah. And then there's like hieroglyphics and like an old, like you'd see on a cave painting or whatever of like a Egyptian god.
Awesome.
And then I think maybe horoscopes. And I don't know, I'll have to find it. Definitely whatever wingdings we could find that were perhaps esoteric
Kind
or
of odd.
mystical in nature are on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But so they hire this, Heather Donahue's mom is like at her wit's end. She's like, listen, you're going to think I'm crazy, Buck. I want to try a psychic. It's like, I don't think you're crazy. Like, I understand, like, this is, we're not really finding any information. So yeah, let's do it. So they all go into the Black Hills woods together. And then there's a transcription of what follows.
Right.
And it's the psychic being like, I can sense her here. I can sense Heather. Which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, like there are people in real life who call themselves psychics and aid police on investigations. So sure.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then she starts acting as if she's actually channeling Heather and being like, I'm running through a house right now.
Yeah.
I'm running through a house. Mike, why are you standing in the corner? And at the moment I was reading it being like, is she a real psychic? And I'm like, no, wait, because they're still saying the movie was released, but it was a documentary. It was real. So she could have just seen the movie and then, like, she never says anything that she couldn't have learned from watching the film, which I think is important.
Yeah.
For that to be the line. But then there's stupid stuff where it's like somebody's like, Buck, my ankle sprained, Buck.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh wow, they experienced their own tragedy in the woods.
Exactly.
Like,
well, then she also goes
goes
into a trance or something like that.
Yeah, she goes into a trance.
So did she say anything that's like?
I don't think she says anything that would
not anything
break the illusion that
yeah.
this could all be real.
Yeah.
You know? Like she doesn't start levitating or something.
No. Yeah. I don't know. Like not levitating, but maybe she does say something that's like, how could she know it kind of thing.
Not really. She goes, I'm running through the house, up the stairs, down the stairs. Mike, where are you?
Oh, okay.
I'm in the basement. Oh God, the smell.
Oh, it's so stinky.
You know, yeah. Mike, what's the matter? Why are you standing like that? You know, just like
she's in the corner.
She just, I don't know, saying stuff.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's funny that this book ends as if they're like, we experienced our own close encounter with the Blair Witch, and thank God I only bruised my pinky toe. I left a hot pocket out
Sprained
there.
my coccyx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rest of the book I think is really really fun.
Yeah.
I love reading the fake history, fake old textbooks about the Blair Witch.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It's laid out really cool.
Yeah.
Did like a lot of people buy this? It's very cool.
I don't know. It's really cool.
I don't know if it's gotten its due.
I think the Blair Witch doesn't get enough. I think the Blair Witch is heavily misunderstood as a franchise. So I think that not a lot of people give it much credit. I think that a lot of people would view these things as being sort of cheap add-ons.
Yeah, totally.
I really think...
I kind of thought that they were. And then I read the first one at least, and I was like, this is sweet.
Yeah, I think that D.A. Stern, who I don't know much about, I think that he worked his ass off on this.
Oh, totally. You can tell there's like a ton of care and thought put into it.
Yeah, like fake old newspaper clippings and the quality. Like there are scans of the articles, and the font is old.
Yep.
The image has some grain on it. Like it's been scanned weirdly into the book. It's not a clean transfer. And that just enhances the feel of the book as being sort of this like compiled, exquisite corpse document of multiple sources. I really love it. I really love this book a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think it's super fun.
Yeah, me too.
Super fun, super interesting. And it fleshes things out.
Let's move on to the second one.
Great.
Let's take a look at this bad boy.
So Book of Shadows,
William, who is
Blair
this
Witch
on the
2.
cover?
That's Eileen
That's
Treacle.
my first question. That's Eileen Treacle?
Eileen Treacle is a little girl who drowned in 1 inch of water.
Okay.
They say that they saw a hand come out of water and pull her into it.
Yeah.
But then in the movie Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, she's soaking wet and walking backwards.
Yeah.
And it looks hilarious.
So, just like weird, like early or what was it? Late 90s, early 2000s, or when did this come out?
2000.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of like weird herky jerky special effects thing from then.
Yeah, it jives with the cornball horror of early 21st century.
Yeah, like what was that movie? 13 Ghosts?
13 Ghosts.
Where everybody's like blinking in and out really fast of like tape. Yeah. It's like kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a really cool owl that does stuff like that in the movie as well. Yeah.
The owl's kind of like floating in and out.
Yeah.
Kim, what's her name?
Diamond.
Kim Diamond.
There's some sort of reference to an owl in this. Do you remember what it is? Because I remember I was like, oh, tying it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was some sort of evil owl situation.
That I do not recall.
Yeah.
This book, Blair Witch Book of Shadows Dossier. I mean, yikes. So this
Yikes,
one,
indeed.
same author. I feel like he had a much worse uphill battle.
Yeah, definitely.
He had to take the characters of that movie and try to explain their backstories in a way that made them compelling. Mm-hmm. So you've got a main character named Jeff, who's obsessed with the Blair Witch Project, the movie. In their world, it is a documentary. Mm-hmm. And in their world, it's a movie. It's a flat movie.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, I misspoke. Uh-huh. And in the book, it's explained that he was in a psych ward because he kidnapped a kid.
Yeah.
And was going to sacrifice her.
Yeah.
To the Blair Witch on Coffin Rock in the Black Hills Woods. Mm-hmm. And at the last moment, he changed his mind or was released from the Blair Witch's spell and let her go. And then he was put in an insane asylum during and then the movie The Blair Witch Project came out. He didn't get to see it. But then once he was out, he did see it and he really loved it a whole bunch.
I'm also I'm confused about his whole story. Like he also
doesn't make sense.
He went out to the Rock with his dad. And like, did he push his dad or something like that? Because his dog was sick and he knew that if he made an offering to the witch of blood on Coffin Rock, that the dog would get better?
Something like that.
I think so, because the dog gets better. He drew us pictures of it.
True. So, all right, here's a big question that I have.
His dad was like in a coma forever.
Here's a big question that I have.
Yeah.
In the movie Book of Shadows, there's a psychic and a witch. And they are actually psychic.
Wait, who's the psychic?
Kim.
Kim's psychic?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Remember, in the movie, they go on this tour. Jeff runs a tour because he's obsessed with the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
All these people come on it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's Kim, there's Tristan and Steven.
Yeah.
Right? Steven?
Yeah.
They are...
I was thinking of Tristan and Ryan from The Bachelorette.
They are
dating.
And Erica. And they all party in the...
they party all right.
Party hardy.
They party hard.
In Rustin Parr's burned down house. The foundation of Rustin Parr's house. Where it said the tapes of the original Blair Witch Project were found 1 year after the kids went missing. Fun thing that I wanted to point out and I almost forgot.
Yeah.
According to the Blair Witch Dossier, Heather, Mike, and Josh went missing on October 21st. They were officially declared missing on October 24th.
Oh.
The day that you and I are recording this, Kristen, is October 24th.
Oh my God.
Oh! I like that.
No, I do
that
too.
kind of
That's
thing.
cool.
So anyway, in Book of Shadows, they party hardy at Rustin Parr's house.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, all their stuff is destroyed.
Yeah.
A book that Stephen is writing is destroyed and the paper is raining down from the sky.
I don't really know why he brought his only copy of this manuscript on this tour with him.
Rookie mistake.
Doesn't seem like
to carry the only copy of your huge manuscript around with you.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Like, why would you do that?
It was the only copy I had, Tristan. And then Kim
idiot.
goes,
You went to college?
yeah. And they're like, the cameras are all broken. What's going on here? And she goes, the tapes are there. And she points in the foundation. They find the tapes there. She's psychic.
Is that said in any way besides that?
Yes. When they first meet Kim, she's lying down on the grave
Well, yeah. Oh, she sure is.
of Eileen.
Treacle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I screw it up?
What?
Ellie Kedward, Eileen Treacle. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's lying down on the grave of Eileen Treacle.
So good.
And, she's like, because I'm psychic, numbnuts, something.
Really?
She doesn't say that, no. I mean,
Well,
I'm
no,
not,
I know,
I'm
but,
not
like,
right about that. But
yeah.
she, like, from the get-go is
Does she
said
say,
to be
like,
psychic.
because I'm psychic?
She says something, she's talking to Tristan, who's pregnant. She's 6 weeks pregnant.
Oh, that kind of
And
rings
she
a bell.
goes-
She's like, so, you going to keep it? Or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
She goes, you don't want the baby.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Tristan's
oh, my
like,
God.
Who told you?
Oh, my God. I love
And
this
Kim
movie
goes
so
like,
much.
I did. I told me. I'm psychic.
This is the best movie and then the stupidest book.
It's such an entertaining movie.
Yeah, totally.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Everybody go look at a YouTube video from, I think it's Good Bad Flicks. Mm-hmm. He did a sort of a deep dive, a 20-minute video about the production troubles of Blair Witch 2 and what it could have been. It's directed by this guy, Joe Berlinger.
Yeah.
Who directed the Paradise Lost trilogy, which was about the Memphis Three.
Yep, West Memphis 3.
West Memphis 3, who were accused of murder mostly because they were little, like, heavy metal kids.
Yeah.
And so there was this whole argument about, like, the media that you watch turning you into a psychopathic killer.
Yeah.
And then he made this movie where a bunch of people who are obsessed with the Blair Witch essentially all kill each other.
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, like, yeah, it's because they were obsessed with the witch that this happened.
Right.
So
weird.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he was such an instrumental
I
part
never
of
drew that
exonerating.
parallel. Yeah.
Now Playing Podcast was the place. I shouldn't take credit for that observation. That was Stuart in LA from the Now Playing Podcast, which is a terrific podcast.
I love
really
that
enjoy.
podcast. Yep.
And when he pointed it out, it was like the clouds parting. And it's like, yeah, what a bastardization of your message, man.
Completely. It's
like,
so strange.
He was a big part of setting the West Memphis 3 free.
Yeah.
Like clearing their names. And yet here he's really saying, like, no, look at these guys. They were all obsessed with this scary movie.
Yeah.
And they're all turning on each other and killing each other.
Yeah, like the opposite point.
Very weird.
Yeah.
But so this Good Bad Flicks video, which I was bringing up, brings up the fact that Joe Berlinger had an idea of a movie he wanted to make.
Yeah.
And the studio had an idea, which was, hey, your idea sucks.
Yeah.
We want to fix it by putting in Marilyn Manson music.
Yep.
And inserting
Mission accomplished.
And inserting a mass murder scene.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been there otherwise. The studio reshot scenes of Jeff in the loony bin getting a tube
so
shoved down
stupid.
his
Yeah.
nose and with like foam coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
They shot the scenes of them killing this other tour group and then inserted it randomly in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They did that because they thought that was what horror audiences wanted to see.
Right.
Joe Berlinger wanted to tell a story and he didn't get to.
Yeah.
So anyway, this book now is trying to say who all these people were, how they came together. There are literally times where you're just reading the participation sheet that each person filled out and sent to Jeff to be part of his tour.
And there's very little of any sort of substance or interest in it, whatsoever, except for like their email addresses.
Yeah.
All of them use coolmail.com.
I know. So funny.
The goth girls thing is gothgirl@coolmail.com.
Which is so not goth.
No, 1,000,000%. I was like, there's no way any legit goth girl would call themselves like, you'd be like, no.
No. I'm me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just me.
This is who I am.
What's his name? The guy who we don't like, Ryan or whatever.
Steven.
Steven. Oh, Stephen Ray Parker, is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah. His is like Lomax.
Yeah.
What the hell? I took a picture of
I
it.
would love it if their names were just Steve, Erica, blah, 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 at coolmail.com. Because it made it hard when it was like Lomax is contacting.
Lomax Fellow at coolmail.com.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Is Lomax a school and you're a fellow?
He's getting the Lomax Fellowship?
That's just that a thing? Oh, speaking of that, I took a picture of something. It's a name that I thought was really good. The Blair Witch cult was led by former rock and roll musician Leroy Cregan.
Ooh. That's
Good name,
a great
right?
name. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. So in the book, you're reading all of these like submission forms.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're reading a chat room.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I would say that part I liked.
I kind of like.
Yeah.
It's
that was also such a weird way to talk to somebody. Like he needed to get information from Erica.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'll be in the pagan chat at 7:00. I was like, well, why don't you just keep emailing as you've been doing
I know.
for the information?
But then you're reading him like entering this pagan chat
Yeah.
being like, hi, is Erica here?
yeah. And his screen name is Witchfinder.
Yeah.
And they're like, is this a sort of joke?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
In that moment, he does get to talk to Erica. She's in the chat.
Yeah.
And then he, at the very end of it, he says something. He's like, all right, goodbye. I'll talk to you soon. And somebody goes, and then the chat continues with people being like, what just happened? Did everyone's screen just go blank for a few
Oh,
minutes?
yeah. That was cool.
Mine went blank too.
Yeah.
Which essentially suggests that
Yes.
Erica somehow was glitching out the system,
Yep.
or if you listen to Now Playing, the theory is that she is not a real person, that she is the Blair Witch or some presentation of the Blair Witch. And so when she's talking to him through the chat room, she's like speaking to him paranormally through the computer
Right.
rather than actually being in the chat room.
Right.
So for everyone else that's in there, the whole thing just bugs out for a little while she does her witchy thing.
Yeah. Screen's
Which-
going hinky.
Doesn't really make sense with the movie, but it was a cool thing to read.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually didn't think either of those. I thought it was that the Blair Witch herself made the screen go weird for everybody for some reason.
Oh, you thought so?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fine way to read it too. I guess who knows?
Just like there's this energy happening because there are these people who are all coming to this point.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. And then she's like, not for any real purpose, but just being, they're like a bunch of energy built up or something. And it was like,
Yeah. I guess who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Some of the other things that this book does, it just will have like entire pages that are magazine articles or old stories from folklore books. Yeah. Which just goes on. And on. And
then also some of the pages of magazines are almost unreadable because they're so tiny, which was weird. Like, I was like, this must not be that important, I guess.
I mean, that kind of exists in the first one too, but he'll usually have an insert of the relevant article. Yeah. And the rest of the page is just there for reference. So you can see it's from this publication. Yes. Here's the actual article that we want you to pay attention to.
And then it was just a teeny weeny article.
Yeah. It made it very difficult to read. But then, like, especially toward the end of the book, I think, is when there's just it's like a 13-page.
It's so long.
Segment from a book, like an excerpt from an old book. And I was just flipping ahead, being like, how long does this last? When does this
completely
end? When is this over?
And I was trying to skim it, but then I would miss something, so I'd have to go back. It would have been faster for me to just read it like a normal person all the way through, because I'd be like, what? And it took me longer to read, trying to save time.
Yeah. Very hard. Yeah. Very hard to read.
Yeah.
Book.
Yeah, it's a stinker.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. I'm happy to have it because at this point,
it's a cool, weird thing to have.
There's a good amount of Blair Witch universe stuff that's out there, but not a ton of it. Yeah. And at this point, I think I have most of it.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm happy to have this in my collection as a weird artifact of the series, but Blair Witch Book of Shadows dossier does nothing to flesh out Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, the movie.
No, because the movie barely fleshes out the movie. So,
solid not recommend for this one. Yeah. Largely forgettable because I feel like it doesn't convey any information that's even exciting background information about the people. No. And it just doesn't have that same magic that the first book does.
No, the first book has a lot of je ne sais quoi.
It does. It's very fun.
It also looks really cool.
It's very
like the
eerie.
Outside even. Yeah, it's awesome. It has it's black on black, but there are differences in texture, and it's the little kid's hands from the inside of Rustin Parr's house. Yeah. It's super cool.
The entire book has a very eerie vibe. If people believe the Blair Witch Project movie was a true story, a real documentary, and maybe a snuff film, this carries that energy.
Yeah, totally.
It very, very, very much does, where it's saying Heather, Mike, and Josh are missing. We're going to try to piece it together. Yep. It's incredibly fun to see. Yeah. And some of the detail work, by the way, I didn't even really point it out. Heather's journal.
Yeah.
They
that was cool.
Put Heather's journal in the book. You can read Heather's journal with some notations added in by the psychic who's trying to pick up on vibes of how Heather felt in the moment. But there's a photograph of the outside of her journal. Yeah. It is in the movie. Yeah. Her journal when she's packing her bag at the beginning of the film and showing like what she's going to be taking along with them on the trip. Yeah. The journal is there. It's the exact journal with the same like wear and tear.
That's super cool.
It's incredibly well thought out. It's very impressive. Yeah. And really kind of creepy. Yeah. It's fun to read old stories. I don't know which one has it, but one of them talks about how the Blair Witch is sort of the East Coast version of another legend called the Bell Witch.
Oh, yeah. I actually think it might be in Book of Shadows.
It might be in Book of Shadows. Yeah. I like that kind of stuff.
Me too.
I like this sort of like people being like, oh, so are they like, is one inspired by the other or what? Yeah. And, who knows?
Yeah, totally.
Like it's posited in the book. It's like, well, no, like they're both their own legends, but one of them rose to prominence more than the other. And I love that. I love the history of a horror like that and having no real way to pin it down.
Yes, totally.
Anyway, solid recommend. Cool. Blair Witch Project, a dossier by D.A. Stern.
Hats off, D.A. Stern. Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. If you wanted to keep going with Blair Witch. Yeah. There are the 3 movies. There's a documentary called Curse of the Blair Witch, which was released at the same time as the original movie. It was originally supposed to be part of the movie. Yeah. It was going to be more of a mockumentary vibe.
Pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. And there are a couple of other things. I think that there is something called the Burkitsville 7, which I have not watched. I think it was released in conjunction with Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Very little known to the point that like I periodically will stumble across it again. Yeah. And be like, oh, I got to watch that someday and then forget. Yeah. Somebody online, there's an online game called White Enamel. It's hard to call it a game. I think it's based off of some older property about what life is like in this this mental asylum in Maryland. but I've been seeing it for a while and not really knowing what it was and wondering if it was a tease of a future Blair Witch franchise thing. I think it's called The Trial of Ellie Kedward. I think. And it seems to be some sort of interactive story that you can play through your web browser. I think you click on stuff and might reveal pieces of story or text that fleshes out what the story is of Ellie Kedward, who's said to be the Blair Witch. Made by the same people as White Enamel. Total fan project.
Yeah.
But small enough with a lot of work put into it, enough so that it makes me intrigued.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got to check that out.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. There are 3 Blair Witch games, which I really want to play. I'd love to do a live stream of them or something. One of them shows what happens to Heather at the end of the Blair Witch Project. You see,
cool.
A character model. It's like a PlayStation 1 type graphics of her running into the basement holding a camera and seeing Mike standing in the corner.
Yeah.
And then a big cartoon ghost comes out of nowhere and she falls over with the camera. And so, okay.
Yeah.
In that game, a character time travels. And from like the 40s, she sees Heather.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, bam, like that Blair Witch Dossier and Blair Witch 2016,
awesome.
time travel has always been part of this.
Yeah.
In Blair Witch Project, the kids are missing the woods for 7 days, but who knows if they're really missing there for 7 days. It's posited that there were people out there actively searching through the woods for Heather, Josh, and Mike while they're running around screaming and would have been walking in the same place as them. So who knows if they're in another dimension?
Yeah.
If they are somehow invisible to the real world.
Yeah.
Maybe they were only there for like 2 days and it stretched into 7.
Right.
Who knows? But it's some of the stuff that like I just love. I really love about the Blair Witch. There are no answers.
Yeah, totally. It's great.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Is there anything else that we should say on the show? Do you want to make sure that we cover before we conclude?
No, I don't think so.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think we hit all the notes.
Yeah, I hope there's more.
I do too.
I don't think there will be for a while.
I don't think for a while, but I think there will be eventually.
That third movie tanked.
Yeah,
hard.
I know. And then there was like backlash because of the way that they did the, what's it called? The commentary.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard were very sort of like sarcastic and kind of cynical on it.
Yeah.
They recorded the commentary right after the movie opened, which is such a bad idea because the movie tanked hard.
Yeah.
People complained about it even harder.
Right.
And so now you've got these 2 guys who worked their asses off for at least a couple of years sitting in there and having to talk about their movie.
Yeah,
and
like their movie that they now feel is like it's a failure commercially.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would have been great if they could have risen above it, but I completely understand why they were unable to and decided to go the route they did, which was, let's just burn this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they essentially were going like, well, this movie tanked and, you know, if you're listening to this, why didn't you go to see it in theaters? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there listening to them going, I did see it in theaters.
Yeah.
It was their opening night and I loved it.
Yeah.
Please be nice to me.
Yeah, please.
And yet they were just, you know, essentially more interested in being like, yep, in this scene, well, I'm never going to tell you what's going on here because, well, nobody cared about this movie. So why should I say what's going on in this scene?
Right.
And I wrote an article about their commentary track where I say, and I have to imagine this is true.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have said anyway.
Yeah.
They just had this like saltiness about them that made them say it as like, they would have said it in the best of worlds as like, and, well, we know what's going on in this scene and, hopefully we'll be able to flesh this out at some point in the future or do something with this again. But, yeah, for now it's just a mystery what's going on here.
Yeah.
And instead they said it as like, we're never going to tell you.
Yeah,
You'll
totally.
never find out, which feels different. But
it feels different. Yes.
I don't think they ever would have said anything concrete. The point of the Blair Witch is ambiguity.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, for sure they were burned. I think that the Blair Witch franchise from their point of view is done. I don't think they'll be doing anything with it.
Yeah, I
think
doubt
that
it.
everyone's afraid of touching the Blair Witch for a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know that one of the original ideas from the original creators, Eduardo Sanchez and Dan Myrick, was that every story of the Blair Witch would be a different kind of movie? They felt like they could not do found footage again when they made it. They didn't want to do another Blair Witch themselves. That's why they weren't attached to Blair Witch 2.
Right.
But they wanted to do other stuff like do a period piece movie about Ellie Kedward, the witch, and see what
that's cool.
that would have been like. It would have been like an old story set in the 1700s.
Yeah.
And
that'd be cool.
Everyone refused to make that movie.
Yeah.
They couldn't get it off the ground. And then in 2015, the movie The Witch.
Right.
16,
I remember we talked about
1700s something-ish.
Yeah.
Movie about a young girl who's being haunted by a witch, and it's very tense, and people loved it. Critical darling.
It's great.
Maybe they were on the right path.
Yeah.
But they just weren't able to go.
Yeah.
The Blair Witch was such like a wild, like flaming red hot success. It would have been slim odds for there to ever be a really great follow-up.
Yeah, completely. Hard to catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So instead it crashed and burned and turned into a flaming bag of dog poop.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
I know. I love it.
It is a flaming bag of dog poop.
Oh, totally.
It's annoying and it's funny.
It's delicious dog shit.
It's delicious dog shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they just tried. They tried to make another good one.
It was worth a try. I liked it.
Should also say, we rewatched all the movies for the purposes of this show.
Yep.
Did not like the third movie as much as I remembered.
No.
I can say that.
No. We got antsy. At one point I suggested fast forwarding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Head over heels for it a year ago.
Yeah.
5 days ago, had a bit of a hard time.
Yeah.
Still really enjoyed it. The end of that movie is
totally
fun. I love Rustin Parr's house. So freaky, scary. They run through a corridor and then they run through it again and it's in completely different condition. Which is like, are they traveling through time even as they walk through this
house?
It's really
unnerving. Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So happy we saw it.
One of those things where even thinking about it now, I'm like, yeah, but that's pretty good. That's a pretty good movie. Like, I guess I like it more in theory than in watching.
They care.
As a whole, I mean, the whole movie. The end of it is totally rocks your butt. But
the actors from it, three of the actors from it, the actors that played Peter, James, and Lane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did a commentary track of their own. And
I'm already telling me that.
I listened to at least half of it.
Yeah.
My ears really perked up when they went like, should we say the thing that about the, can we say that?
You're like, what thing?
I was like, oh, here we go. Like, say it. What is it going to be? And they're like, I don't know if we can say it. All right, well, let's just say it a little bit. In Blair Witch 2016, there's some light, I thought, Wizard of Oz imagery. As they walk into the Black Hills woods, there's literally a
yellow brick road.
Road in the ground. They're off to see a witch, which is not what they say in Wizard of Oz. They say they're off to see a wizard.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say it that way. Or maybe I did subconsciously.
It doesn't
We're off to see the witch.
Witch. Yeah, it doesn't really help your comparison case.
Yeah. But so they go into the woods and they fight a witch. What the actors were saying is it goes even further. Each of the main characters is one of the Wizard of Oz archetypes.
What?
Yeah. According to them, that was one of the original plans from the creative team. One of them is the Cowardly Lion. One of them is the Tin Man. One of them is Dorothy. One of them is the other one.
Cowardly Lion, Tin Man,
Scarecrow.
Dorothy, Scarecrow. Yeah.
To the point that they're not only their demeanor, their costumes.
Really?
I mean,
so that's kind of cool.
James, Heather's brother, is wearing sort of like lighter blues and stuff, and he's supposed to be kind of, I guess, somewhat.
I'm sure he'd be the Scarecrow then, right?
Yeah. Oh no, he's the Tin Man.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Because he's so like nice and sweet. I would have thought Scarecrow.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Lisa, his sort of on and off again girlfriend, is supposed to be Dorothy. Peter, his best friend from childhood, is supposed to be the Cowardly Lion, I think, and Lane, who fakes a bunch of stuff, is supposed to be the Scarecrow. Maybe I have those last two swapped.
What about Peter's girlfriend? Whatever her name is.
I know, and that's where it starts to break down. I didn't feel like it was a very rewarding interpretation, but I don't
kind of a
really.
Cool idea, but I don't really get how it.
It's a fine idea, but there are too many people then to really want to make that
Munchkins?
true. You know,
The Munchkin who hanged himself.
who are the Munchkins?
Yeah. Well, who's the Munchkin?
Yeah, I don't know how I really feel about that, but it's one of those things that sounds cool, but doesn't really have a payoff to me,
it doesn't
at
make
least.
sense. Yeah.
But it's another element of like, I appreciate that they had something that they were trying to layer in.
Yeah,
that
totally.
there was more for them. There was more than the surface level. Let's go into the woods and make a scary movie.
Yeah.
And I think that that's worth applauding, whether or not it really pays off.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really cool idea.
Yeah.
It's a cool place to work from.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
What
totally.
do you say?
Done.
All right.
Cut.
All
Cut.
right, we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
A few bits of business.
Yes, we've got a couple bits and bobs for you bitches.
That's right. So, bibbity bobbity bitch. So, Book Club Schmook Club, as we all know, is going to be ending soon. This is our second to last main episode. Next week, we will have our final extracurricular episode, our final episode where we go off book and talk about whatever we want.
Yep.
And then the next week will be the final episode of Book Club Schmook Club, where we will be reading the final dossier.
Yes.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Comes out on Halloween.
Yeah.
But we're ending Book Club Schmook Club because there will be a new beginning coming soon.
Yep.
Guide to the Unknown, a brand new podcast where Kristen and I sit down and talk about nothing but scary stories and monsters and cryptids and urban legends and creepypastas. It's so much fun.
It's great.
We've already recorded several episodes. Our plan is to release them all at once on November 17th, I believe. It's 1 week after the final episode of Book Club Schmook Club. But so we've got a surprise.
Yeah.
Because we're ramping up, because we're getting ready to release these shows. We have to change some of the ways that we've operated for all time. Everybody out there who's backed us on Patreon, patreon.com/talkbomb, the production company. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
We cannot thank you enough.
Yeah.
I think as we mentioned in a previous episode, we will be ending the Book Club Schmook Club section of the Talk Bomb Patreon at the end of the month.
Yep.
We have started a completely separate Patreon for Guide to the Unknown. So if you download the Patreon app, look up Guide to the Unknown, you can find it, or go to patreon.com/GTTUpod, where you can become a patron of our brand new show if you so choose.
Yes.
As a little bonus, right this second, as you listen to this, the show's not going to be out yet, but the first episode will. We're releasing the first episode of Guide to the Unknown on the Guide to the Unknown Patreon right now. You can get it early. You can get it almost a couple weeks early.
3 weeks?
Yeah, something
Is that right?
like that.
Yeah, 3 weeks early.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you go to patreon.com,
early.
It's a lot early. Yeah. So if you go to patreon.com/GTTUpod, or just look up Guide to the Unknown in the Patreon app, you can find it. Back us. You can hear the first episode. You can watch the first episode, because Guide to the Unknown is both a video and audio show. We'll have links for both there.
Yep. And Will did a lot of really cool video stuff. So
super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you guys will really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great. We're having a really, really good time doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, please do consider jumping over, following us over to that other.
Yeah.
Patreon.
I would love other people to. I can't wait for it to come out. So I would love somebody else to have seen this or
really
listened
excited.
to it.
We've been working on it for a good while now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty eager to get it going.
Me too.
So,
I can't wait.
I hope you guys will enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So scoop it up early if you like.
That's right. And so also check out our new accounts. We're at GTTUpod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Kristen has been tweeting and retweeting different sort of creepy account stuff.
Yeah.
Really funny, weird stuff, which is cool. So make sure that you check that out.
Today my printer spit out cursed pages at me. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. Is that right?
Yes. I set the printer to do some stuff, and I came back, and there are all these bountiful pages on top of the printer that printed, and I was like, what is this?
Wow.
And most of them were just weird symbols and stuff, and numbers and everything. I don't know why that happens. And then 2 of them were 666.
Wow.
One of them was 666, double, triple, on top of itself.
Love it.
And then the other one was 666, and on top of it were a bunch of smiley faces, hearts. It was weird.
Maybe you've been targeted by the witch.
Maybe.
Did you notice in the drawing of Eileen Treacle being drowned in 1 foot of water? There's a
inch, right?
1 inch of water. There's all these old book depictions and artworks about the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And in
that
one,
really
it's
cool.
a hand popping out of a creek and grabbing Eileen Treacle to drown her.
Yeah.
The hand, as it pops out of the water, there's water spraying from around the hand because the hand's pushing the water out of the way. 3 of the doodles are 666.
Oh.
Did you notice that?
I might have. That rings a bell.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
anyway, that's on the Guide to the Unknown stuff today, because that happened.
If you enjoyed this show talking about spooky stuff, I mean, Guide to the Unknown's all spooky stuff.
Yeah, totally.
But yes, we have 2 more episodes of Book Club Schmook Club to go. So there's still plenty of goofing around.
Yeah.
Next week.
I wouldn't say plenty. There's plenty of goofing around as a whole. We still goof around a lot on Guide to the Unknown, but
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
2 episodes ain't plenty. Book Club Schmook Club.
So we'll see you next week
Yeah.
for our final off-book show. We'll see you in 2 weeks for our final show.
Yeah.
Again, that is Twin Peaks, the final dossier, if you choose to read along.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
If you have anything
Thanks.
that you would like to say to us about this episode, about Book Club Schmook Club on the whole, what it means to you, you can do that by reaching out to us online.
I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram and Twitter.
I am at Haunted Sponge. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. We'll see you in the future.
Yep.
But until that time comes, good talk, gang.
Meeting adjourned.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, you should consider going to our website, www.talkbomb.com, where we have archived every show we've ever done. You can also visit our bonus show store, where we sell exclusive episodes of our podcasts for 50 cents a piece, not to mention our merchandise. If you enjoy Talk Bomb, the best thing you can do is help us spread the word. Tweet, share, review. We would greatly appreciate anything you can do to spread the word. Please also consider following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we're at TalkBomb. Following us online is the best way to keep up to date with our productions. More than anything, we just hope you enjoyed the show. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you at TalkBomb.com.